HarperCollins presents Legend of the Lakes by Clara O'Connor. Read by Jan Cramer. Part 1. Into the Abyss. I thought to die that night in the solitude where they would never find me, but there was time, and I lay quietly on the drawn knees of the mountain, staring into the abyss. I do not know how long. I could not count the hours, they ran so fast, like little barefoot urchins shaking my hands away. But I remember somewhere water trickled like a thin severed vein, and a wind came out of the grass, touching me gently, tentatively, like a paw. The Edge, Lola Ridge. Chapter 1. Holy Isle, Anglesey. In the reign of Prince Llewellyn Glyndŵr of Gwynedd. The sparks from the pyres were released into the night sky, hundreds of tiny embers drifting up in the still winter darkness. So many pyres. The destruction that the sentinels had left in their wake was total. The mistletoe supplies gone, the groves badly damaged. The druids and those who had served them shed their bodies as their spirits lifted into the darkness. With Devon. He was gone. Here in his home, they had killed him. I stood and watched while the druids prepared him, removing his clothes, exposing the hole in his chest that had ended his life. The rose and lakes he had tattooed over his heart were marred for eternity. The emblems of the lakelands, my brother's sigil. My brother had never deserved him. On his upper arm were the meandering curves of the Tamesis, ending in a Celtic symbol, a symbol of us. I had traced it over and over again. We had lost and found each other on the banks of that river. There our story had ended and started again. Now it was over. There would be no more chances. I could not follow where he had gone, not yet. I stayed by his side all day, as the survivors and my brother's men bustled about building the pyres, tending the dead and the injured. Occasionally the moans of those who had survived the attack found their way to me, but mostly it was just Devon and me. His dark curls hadn't dried since he was pulled out of the waves. I tried to get the sand out, but his locks had frozen, and my fingers didn't have enough warmth in them to melt the ice after a while. They left him until last. I could feel them hovering, waiting to take him. I don't have a photo. What was that, lady? Came the tentative voice from behind me. It was hard to breathe through my mouth. My throat felt constricted. I drew a breath through my nose and exhaled, which only called attention to the pressing weight on my chest. I didn't have a photo of him. I pushed my fists into my eyes. Behind my lids flickered Devon's face. His frown when I said something that annoyed him, his laughter over a cup of coffee back in Londinium, his serious expression cracking at my teasing of his indulgent citified tastes. His single-minded focus in all things, his frustration when I refused to let him push me away, his determination to see me back in the land of my birth. His eyes studying my reaction as I took in his griffin tattoo the first time. The look that waited for me to appreciate and finally understand what the position meant to him. I would never see his eyes again. That dark warmth had faded, the intense gaze dimmed forever, and I would never see him again. Bloody Britain! Why had he never let me take a photo? Not that I had a device to view it on out here in the wilds anyway. I needed to take my fists out of my face. I was wasting precious time. My next inhale expanded the pained void within me.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?